Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be looking at the Senate polls for the 2022 Senate races that have come out fairly recently. Some are, looking at the last couple of weeks of polling and filling out an electoral map according to what these polls are saying. Now, I know, of course, the polls they were not very accurate in 2020, but I think that with Trump on the ballot, we can expect at least a little bit of a increase in their accuracy range, but we're going to have to certainly not blindly trust the polls, and we're going to have to adjust for their mistakes in 2020. At least I did that with my Clinton handicap, as some call it, or I called it MUU/O, but Clinton handicap certainly flows off the tongue better, but excuse me. Anyways, we're just going to fill out the states that we know are going to go one way or another, and Alaska we're not going to touch yet, and even though I think Colorado's going to be likely, I think I'll just put it in the safe category, just because I don't think it's worth talking about as of right now. That could change, but right now I just don't see it being too competitive. Since Grassley's running again in Iowa, we don't have to talk about that, unless there are some polls. I think Missouri we're going to talk about for a little bit, but these are the states that matter. All right, these are the states we're probably going to be talking about. Maybe Missouri. I might just fill that out the second I look at these polls. So first, I filtered these by Senate. These are on 538, which usually does the best job of recording polls. RCP did a little better averaging them out, but I don't use either to average the polls. I have my own methodology that I start in the summer leading up to the election. So, summer 2020, summer 2022 is when we're going to start looking at these polls. So first of all, taking a look at Wisconsin, we can just go down to Wisconsin, which is where this poll is from. The latest polls for the Senate race, there's actually only one from the Senate race, but it has Tom Nelson, who is the Democrat right now, who's potential candidate up on beating Ron Johnson, the incumbent, by 4. And Ron Johnson was egged on by Trump to run for re-election. So, this poll right now has Johnson losing re-election by 4. I agree with it. I think Johnson's going to lose re-election, but I don't think he's going to lose by 4. I think he's going to lose by a Trump-type margin, and I think that Tom Nelson's not going to be the Democratic nominee. But, again, kind of a weird poll. Plus, we can take a look at the poll anyways. But essentially, this is what the poll looks like. Ron Johnson in this poll was not popular. He was negative 13. His favorability was underwater by 13. I'm not sure if I buy that. But, and they have independents breaking for Tom Nelson by 3. We're going to have to see. But, really, I'm not sure if I trust this poll as of right now. But the polls do have Wisconsin flipping right now. That's what they're saying. Now, I don't know why they're still polling the Senate race. That's stupid. But taking a look at these are a collection of Ohio polls. We're seeing some very interesting polling here, and these are from decent polls. Now, Public Policy Polling is a Democratic-leaning pollster, but 538 for whatever reason gives them an A- grade. I think that's way too generous. But, anyways, these are polls. We have Tim Ryan going up against 3 potential candidates for the GOP, and we see J.D. Vance, Jane Timken, and Josh Mandel. Josh Mandel and J.D. Vance J.D. Vance is probably the most preferred candidate for Trumpians, followed by Josh Mandel, maybe Jane Timken. Of course, this could vary. I'm not going to speak for all Trump supporters, but that's what I've been hearing. But J.D. Vance is probably the most right-wing of these candidates, followed by Mandel. But Mandel's kind of been slipping as of late. He's been kind of called out for a lot of things, and it's not really helping his cause. But anyways, taking a look at these polls, Tim Ryan is behind J.D. Vance by 2, behind Timken by 3, and behind Mandel by 4. And then we have some other polls. J.D. Vance going up against Amy Acton, I believe. Timken, she's even with Timken, but she is beating, for whatever reason, Vance and Mandel. I don't really buy that as of right now, but if we average that out, that's about, I believe that's like, I'm just going to try to do this in my head. That's like a that's a lean Republican victory in Ohio. So the polls have this race being pretty close. They're even showing some places where the Democrats are ahead. So, Amy Acton leading J.D. Vance and Josh Mandel, which I find to be very interesting. But again, these polls are kind of irrelevant because Amy Acton, I think she said no to running for Senate. So I guess if we factor these out, and I'm just going to do this according to the polls, but if we factor this out, I think Ohio would still be more favorable to the GOP. Now, Trafalgar did some polling as well. I know that they're not a very good pollster, but they have some wacky results. They pulled Warnock versus Loeffler. Obviously, Warnock beating Loeffler, beating or losing to Herschel Walker, which I thought was interesting, and then beating Doug Collins. So again, that averaged out to about a lean D victory. But uh, I do agree that Herschel Walker is probably the GOP's best candidate, but I'm not sure if I'd give him a 2-point edge over Warnock. But that's what the polls are saying, anyways. Now, this is a race we've been talking a lot about. It's New Hampshire in 2022. Chris Sununu beating Maggie Hassan, according to this poll. Sununu right now, I think he right now, if you jump into the race right this second, which I think he will, I think it's lean Republican. But of course, that could change. It doesn't mean it's set in stone for the GOP to win. But I think lean, as of right now, is going to is Sununu right now is would be on track to win. But he's ahead by 6, which is actually a likely margin. So Hampshire. 6-point Sununu victory, and I'm gonna kind of get rid of all these like Lewandowski and Bullock. Bullock is I think he's actually running again, I believe, but he's still not gonna get the nomination in all likelihood unless Sununu and Ayotte don't run. Lewandowski, I don't even know who that is, so I don't really care about these. But Hassan would, I definitely think she'd murder both these candidates. Now, against Kelly Ayotte, I think she's a decent candidate. She did in 2016. That was the closest Senate race in 2016. She lost it by 0.2, so she wouldn't be their best candidate, but she could. I think she has more upside in a higher floor than both Lewandowski and Bullock. So I think I'll just put it in the polls again. For Sununu, the polls are showing that Sununu has a pretty good lead over Hassan consistently, +6, +2. So I guess we'll just put it in the lean Republican column because I think Sununu is the only candidate worth discussing right now. With the pause, as I mentioned, Ayotte maybe. But I think that's essentially it for what I'm going to be taking a look at now. There are some hypothetical polls of like Phil Scott running for Senate in Vermont, not going to happen. Kander in Missouri, not going to happen. But I think that is about it. So. Again, we can just fill out the rest of these with my ratings. Whoa, I did not mean to do that. Whatever, my apologies for that. But we're just going to fill these out with what the polls had said. We had Wisconsin as lean D, Ohio as lean R, Georgia, or New Hampshire as lean Republican, as well as Georgia as lean D. And then, we can fill out this map according to my ratings for the rest of these. So if the polls are correct, factored in with what I am saying, this is what the 2022 Senate map would look like. So Hawaii, we just got to fill that out. So if the polls are correct, the Democrats would have a 51-49 advantage. They'd be picking up Wisconsin and holding Georgia. And they'd be losing Ohio by only a couple of points, which I think is better than most would expect. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.